Oh my God. Beautiful to have you all here from the all around. I am Sanaz Shiraz. I am an embodiment coach for dating and relationship and a course leader for therapeutic dances. Some of you have been in my other more movement and embodiment events. And this one's about triggering getting emotionally triggered, and especially how we can move out of it. This is one of my absolutely uh, favorite favorite, if someone can say, topic. Is really a topic that very matters to me. Before I start, I need to just say something shortly to Wissam. Wissam, I see people coming in. Am I the one who I was going to ask very shortly, is everybody here is familiar with Zoom and the Zoom function? Because I know like already is very, very weird question. Everybody has doing it daily. What we would need today is probably like more the chat function. Of course, the camera on, off if you wish that. And at one point way later would be on one point that you get a prompt for a breakout session for just a few minutes. So if anybody is not that much familiar with Zoom, that's the time you can raise your hand shortly, and I will ask Wissam to, or me, and I will explain shortly. Okay. Otherwise, what you need is just a comfortable place, your drink, and later if you need something to write. Great. Okay. I'm having a presentation for you especially for first part, and we go then into more practical part of it. That's why, because I have already a plan for today, I would love to ask you to ask your questions at the end for the Q&A part, and in the middle it will be difficult to go to the discussions, if it's that be okay. All right. Okay. So we'll tell you more about this. Let's see. Okay, it works even in the first place. Let me check. Is it good? Not yet. Technique. Good, we go. Here I am. To shortly say, I told you that the topic is actually quite an important topic for me. So because as you see here, I'm an absolutely calm, peaceful person. Nothing can really bring me out of that flow of calmness. I never get triggered. I just staying in my center. And that's why I wish, I mean, like many other of us, I wish that that would be the story I could tell you about myself. But that in the reality is actually, that's another part of me, right? I can be, when I'm triggered, really like I'm out of here, talk to my hand, just don't talk to me. Or it's actually only a caricature of what I can be. I didn't use a real version photo here because I can be extremely scary when I'm angry, like with the whole face. I didn't want to scare the photographer nor you, any of you. So this is my story, actually. This one would tell a long story, probably starting at one point around when I was a toddler. So that's where the whole thing starts, right? And it was a lot of stories I could say that it was, and those some moments I really couldn't control my triggers and my reactions. And at the beginning of my 30s, at one point I realized I don't like it. It doesn't serve me. So after, like the employer once wrote impulsive, like that word, or like, this is not that easy. So, and since then, I'm being on a journey and with an amazing knowledge and understanding, but also a lot of getting like into what's that's the core of the thing. If I don't, I want to have a choice. I once I'm getting the really emotional triggered, and in my case, I told you just more about anger. It doesn't need to be anger. It could be anxiety, fear, and other very intensive emotional upset emotions coming up for us. So I wanted to have a choice that at those moments there could be, I could be in my hand and I couldn't have a choice. And I guess many of you today here also with similar question or something you care about, because like this is something we don't usually bringing in a with the good feelings together. And that has been brought me to a work as a conflict in the area of conflict transformation. So I wanted to understand the conflicts better. Inclusive, I used to work in conflict countries, knowing about it and learning about the theories around how the conflicts work in an interpersonal level and the group level and community level, national levels. Used to then worked in different countries as well. But nothing knowing was very helpful, bringing a lot. But then I was experiencing it at those moments. Again, it doesn't really help me what I know about the conflict much when it comes to those moments when I need to like put my foot on the brake. And I remember once I asked my dad, I said, like, yeah, I have like this trouble with my temper and my, like I'm getting so angry. I don't know if any of you, the anger is sometimes we think we don't have any control over it. It just explodes. And my dad was saying, oh, that one, all of our family has that. That's very normal in our family. Like your cousin Ramin has it too. Like 3 days ago, like your cousin, I was just, oh my God, I thought it's just me I want to change. I didn't know like that is actually the whole way bigger history and thoughts and the family and then things in that. My father is proud of that. He say like, with that temper, we could get rid of the colonialists and Portuguese and that time against Iran. So actually it's something you need to be proud of. And okay, nowadays it doesn't have really good use, but it is something that many people even don't see that could be not serving us. Well, for me, it was really starting to becoming practical when I started to in the area of embodiment, and especially I started my education and therapeutic dances, and that was first really very different perspective on the whole, and it opened up a lot for me. And this is the talk, and that's why I really would love to share with many other people with the same topic around this. How can I regulate? How can I move out of that? This part of the story and that perspective, which is opening a lot and is relatively new. Okay, I am very curious to if you could write also a little in the chat about which situations triggers you emotionally. So what is it? For example, when I'm getting criticized by my boss, I can be very, or by my spouse, by my partner. Like when my child sometimes scream without a reason, I don't know, and just can get really triggered. Or when I in the middle of the night wake up and think, oh gosh, what is it going to be financially? So next year, I can really get triggered in that ooh, anxiety or fear. If you want, if you like, share in the chat. What are the situations, like short one, like that can brings you either in that anger or fear, anxiety, or even freeze. Like I cannot even answer to that critic. Or feel free to share. I don't know if I can see the chat at the same time. Oh, you're seeing the whole thing. Good and stuff. Okay. I like it. Yeah, friends that cancel last minute. Yeah, experience injustice. Absolutely. if the people ignore me, don't respect me, yes, yes, very, yeah, we all like know it absolutely. Being unable to change things and having to put on with absolutely idiotic ideas at work, actually. Dealing with my ex-husband, one of that, right? Mining fields as well, absolutely, and manipulations, yes. Yeah, beautiful. When people don't think about their action consequences and don't care about others' interests, being selfish with their actions, I get that. Work colleagues that don't pull their weight, yeah, exactly. And I have also, when I'm interrupted, exactly, lack of respect, beautiful. Dealing with people who never take responsibility but blame others for everything else. Sounds very familiar, isn't it? Like many of us have, like, yeah, exactly. When you have been on cruise since who knows when and someone cuts the line, exactly. Like imagine any of the situation, yeah. Never, never invite these friends again. Love it. And same thing, meeting to go to the, oh yeah, when I need to go to the bathroom. Exactly. Different mentality. When I'm hungry, very good one. Yes. Drivers cutting in front of me. Yeah, driving scenes, right? So that is also one of the favorite topics. Can get like really emotionally triggered. Yeah, if someone puts his own needs always over mine. Got it. Yes. Yes, amazing. So we are all on the same page what we are talking about. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Feeling used, manipulated when people tell me what to do without me asking them. Beautiful. Okay. Woo! Breathe. Yes, there's a lot of situation feeling depressed and having not the power to what I wanted to do. Beautiful. Okay, I would love to introduce you to what we are going to talk today about. So that I'm going to present. So this is what we will be talking about. So first is, what is it exactly, the emotional reactivity? What are we talking about? Why does it happen and what exactly happens in our body? Then it will be a part which you are invited to discover your own unique trigger ID. And then it's about the practical practices about how to move out, which is all around somatic express sourcing and embodiment using the body for it. And at the end, your questions. Okay. So, what is it what we're talking about? So, emotional reactivity is intensive, upset emotions which get triggered by an internal or external trigger. So when we talk about emotions, I mean that would be a topic for a talk for itself. What is emotions? What are they doing in a body? Why are they there? How to deal with them? But when we talk about emotional reactivity, we mean by that like the very intense, upset emotions. And intenseness, like if you have more or less a scale of 1 to 10, so more than 5, it is in the area of getting intensive. And we talk about trigger. And it's not like only we feel inside and it happens in our mind. The emotional reactivity is hand in hand with the body reactivity as well. So your heart rate will change, your breathing might change, you're getting tense muscles, sweat, many things. And these stuff are, of course, measurable in your body as well. So it's not like something very hypothetically we're talking about. And it could be not only these body reactions, but like they have some more or less body reactions with themselves. So the first interesting thing for me, was amazing to hear that once I heard that many years ago, that these reactions are exactly the fight, flight, freeze reactions in our body. So from the body reactivations, you see these are 1 to 1, the body reactions to fight, flight, freeze. Which of you have heard already about fight, flight, freeze? Like, just raise your, yeah, yeah, yeah. This is originally coming from the studying of mammals, actually the animals. These are, if that isn't, when an animal gets attacked, the reaction of this animal, which is like a surviving mechanism of this animal, is either fighting back, so like in this case, what you see, the lion, or running away, or act dead, like really frozen. So then in hoping that that attacking animal will just pass by and doesn't realize it. And these are very similar. Let's see what happens really in our body. Same for us. That is very similar for us as well. Imagine in our modern life, so a car races toward you, so that you get the sensors of your visual sensor or sound, and that sends, very like simplified, that sends the signal to your brain, and especially arrive at one point in an amygdala, a name I want you to remember. And the amygdala is actually like an alarm in our body, which is looking for danger. Like that is like, okay, I take care. If there's anywhere danger, I need to know. And if that amygdala really decided, okay, that is about the danger, it sends a signal to a hypothalamus part of our brain, which is like, you have to imagine like an interior ministerial. So like that is really the manager. And that does the next step, which is will activating our autonomic, this sympathetic nervous system. And this all happens before we even realize. What is a sympathetic nervous system? Is a part of automatic way of managing our body. And what it does is, oh, it's danger. What it does is, what in the body right now doesn't need that much attention? For example, digestion system, reproduction system, that is right now not a time, no, not at all. So we need have really blood in our hands and our legs, and the heart needs to pump more so that the blood can go to this area, but going away from the digestion system. So we will really be focused and sharp, our visual senses and our hearing senses getting sharpened, our muscles getting ready to fight or flight. So the whole system is an amazingly system to, if once is a danger, like a car races toward you, that you can react before you even really realize. I hope that none of you have experienced that, but it's just, it's not that you think, oh, it's interesting, a yellow BMW, oh, it's about 40 something driver, she's like kind of good looking, is coming toward me. I'm wondering what would be the next step. Nothing like that. There is not a time for our very modern part of analytical thinking and conscious thinking, the here, the prefrontal part of our brain. So, and this is amazing. And once we calm down, so the parasympathetic nervous system come in, bring it to that business as usual. So far, everything amazing, isn't it? I'm not a neuroscientist. If you are interested, please read more in a more scientific sources like this one, Understanding Stress Response from Harvard, or anything else. That is amazing. So what happens? So far, again, I want to emphasize that is the first interesting result maybe we need to remember. Once we are in that modus, our prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for thinking, problem solving, and logical thinking, is going more and more offline. So the first thing for me was, it is really not a good idea to react once you're triggered. I know it's not always possible, but there are some conditions, some situations it is possible. For example, in the relationships, like many of discussion can be postponed. Okay, can we talk about that in 2 days or something? So it's not like really you need to get yourself into it. So the thing is, you want to have a really availability over all resources of your brain. Otherwise, you might regret it later. And that wasn't really best version of you which reacting, which was a more anxious part of your brain once you get reactivated. So far, so good. And interesting is this is as like by freeze sometimes is not like this throwing really blood and you're getting energized and ready to fight or flight. A freeze is once like the really life danger and the pulse you get, your brain makes you immobilized, even doesn't let you move. And you get the opposite. You get like too low energy. The freeze in animals is something like fight and flight. In humans, freeze is a way more complex phenomenon. So, and even when I call them in this talk fight, flight, freeze, but for freeze for itself would be the whole talk, because it's for us human, we is not that we do not easily forget about that and becomes like trauma and re-traumatization. As I said, I'm not going to in depth in the freeze reaction that much. It's just you stay for that in a just a, in a row for fight, flight, and freeze. I say maybe in the future we will like something like that. That's why many of this exercise or anything we will have today is for fight, flight. For a freeze, sometimes we need a way more longer, sustainable, and other ways. This is a longer story. Okay, deep breath. If you want to have a sip of water, just do it. I mean, that's interesting because right now, okay, so that's the question. That's everything amazing, isn't it? So it works amazing. We can really be happy and proud that we have this system. Otherwise, we wouldn't have even be here on the earth, right? Our ancestors survived because this mechanism exists, or maybe we experience from our life that we once really needed that. This is amazing. It's something to be proud of. So what is that all about? Why do we want to get rid of it, or what is our problem with it? So this is what our logical, our humanness is both pain and gain. So the way we go more further in that, the thing is this alarm, when we come to amygdala, this alarm, oh, it's danger, it's danger. It can do many mistakes. So it is not very always an accurate thing. And if the system has been designed that you go in that state once a really while, right? If it's really necessary. If that's in our modern life, we have this experience a lot, like a stress and what triggers us. This is very unhealthy. So because we get a heart, blood pressure, the more possibility of getting stroke or heart attack, all what you heard about what stress does. Okay, why would that? Okay, like we understood, right? We understood we get attacked by animal or by car, and that comes in place. What does to do when I am sitting in front of you? So this is nothing life dangerous, but I have definitely like, oh, you cannot harm me, right? So what is that about? What is happening right now? The thing is, this amygdala, that's part of our brain, is responsible for this where is danger, but also responsible for memory of emotions, especially fear. That means not only evolutionary dangers and this getting prone to, but also it takes exact record in my history and even from my parents as well. When I had an experience which was painful or fearful for me, to me, or to one of my loved ones. So, and that I could have been, as a baby, if we are not get loved or getting like attention or the touch, we can die. So it's not just something, it's a real danger for back then. Right now, theoretically, we can survive if nobody would cuddle us somehow, we won't die, right? But that's the memory this amygdala brings up is, if you don't get love, if these people, you guys listening to my talk would reject me and criticizing me, hate the talk. So that experience in my brain is very bringing back a very similar experience in the past, or even of course later, like that's also historical memory. Few thousand years ago, few 100,000 years ago, we were in a tribal system. That means if the community would have rejected us, we would have died in Sahara alone. And still might be the case. Actually, it is a lot in many, many areas of the world. So this fear, even when it's not happening now, if you criticizes me now, I won't die. But my brain is getting, my amygdala is sending the danger, danger, danger. And that brings my body reaction to it. And this is what's getting problematic, because our rational, like the more thinking part, also feed it. So our stories, when I was 5 and in the front of the class, the teacher said, I don't know, why didn't you learn your homework? So I did a interpretation, I'm not loved, or I'm not good enough, or I don't belong, nobody wants me here in this class. So, and this line, even that's very conscious, is not anymore that automatic brain of mine. This becomes a danger sign for my amygdala and looks for it, sneak for it. Okay, it can be that here they won't like you. So don't even go there. I want to protect you. So that is what's the problem, the other side of what we have nowadays. That is a false alarm. And what can you do with false alarm? So how can we tell so here I'm bringing again the fight in our modern life is then not only the animal part of it, anger, fight, really like attacking, but it has a human dimension of it. Is, for example, blame. Why did you do that? Or blaming myself, right? So really self-beating up. That is a part of my fight reaction. Or flight. The ancient version of it is just physically getting out of the situation, but the modern version of it is also fear, worried, and I'm out of here mentally, for example. Or addiction, right? Addiction, and I don't want to really deal with the situation and run to not even thinking of it. Or avoiding conflicts. And the freeze, that original one is just like really dead. It could be, I'm a victim here, I'm helpless, shame, like this modern thing that an animal doesn't have, like isn't a human, there's a dissociation. And of course the body is like low energy and I give up or I'm helpless. These narratives of it is kind of one-to-one. All right, here is just I think just a summary of what I just said. So there's for all of these responses inside more what we have also calling it as emotions. So I feel panic, I feel anxiety, I feel fearful, I feel worried. But an intensity, again, an intensity, especially in the body, shows that how much you're triggered. All right, okay. So here is a question to you again. Hearing that your emotional triggers, which you feel like it has a lot of colors, but if you would sort it into 3 direction, these are more fight reactions of mine, these are more flight, or these are more freeze. Think of the situation you called before, right? Someone cut your way on the highway, for example, for one person who called it. Just bring that situation again and see how you react, and if your reaction is more in this category or a combination of that. For example, I always thought mine is fight. Like if someone shout, I shout back. But then my partner said, no, it's you do first fight and you do flight. So I shot and then I took my out of it. So this is more or less the pattern. And sometimes in some special situation, I even like freeze reaction. So if you want just to do a reflection, what is your reaction usually? And write in the chat. Need to come back to I am mostly in fight modus. Yeah, me too. Fight, freeze for days and weeks. Beautiful. All right. So, and it's, yeah, so you heard also about the categories as well, right? Like the feeling suddenly this worried, oh God, can I keep my job or what will be happen next year? You know, like, and you're getting into that. Sometimes also the worries or fears depends on intensity. It's a part of anxiety. Or I, for example, I'm one of the emotional eaters. I don't know who else is emotional eater here. So this is, for example, running away is a flight reaction. I want to calm myself down and I don't want to deal with that, but I want to eat. Just go into something else. Or if you fantasize someone, you like it's something hard, you know, like the situation is not very good right now, and you think of a fantasy, and there's things like, oh, so that would be nice if you know what I mean. Like it just a very very nice thing just to fantasizing about everything. That is also a way of flight, right? Beautiful. Okay, let's go back to the meditation. So here directly, I before sending you to the just a short stretching break, I would love to do something with you. Feel free to stand up and doing with me. Once you distinguish, you identify your tendency, if it's that fight, flight, freeze, usually, there is one thing, for example, there's a one posture practices you can do about the fight. So this one has helped me a lot, really saved me a lot of situations. So in a fight modus, you are really getting tense muscle, right? You're ready to fight, right? Or when you blame, it's just you're getting tense. The, if you want to tell your body that is actually a false alarm, if you do the opposite with your body, then it's getting, oh, there's something wrong here. So the body does something else, you know. And that is, for example, is one of the postures or movements. If you have the opportunity, you can go shortly to the bathroom and do it. For those of you like me who had like immediate fight, this is, you want to loosen up your muscles, exactly the opposite. For example, you really like imagine your muscle. If you need to do it in situation, you cannot go away, just need to do it now. You just really loosen up your muscle. Imagine, really let a jaw and face and stuff like getting down, like melting down. Do it just once with me. It is not, you just imagine relaxing your muscles of your face, your jaw, and your body, and just let use. If you have the possibility, this one as well. If you have can go, for example, for a bathroom and do it a few minutes, you can get few minutes, is losing up. Anything losing up is a good regulation method for you. For those who have like flight, that means I want to be out of here, I'm just so in fear or anything like flight thing, that is what you want to be connected to your feet and groundedness. That means in that moment you feel your feet on the floor and your weight, you want to like be really feeling your weight over the couch or the chair. I will do later and more exercise which we are experimenting with that all. And if you have the opportunity to go somewhere, for example, for a few minutes to just center back. Sumo posture is a very amazing one. Do you know sumo wrestlers? So that's like you go and you bring back your weight, like opening your legs like a sumo wrestler. You come back and you feel your weight. If you want to do it right now with me, you will feel how like strong there is there. It's nothing fighting. It's just I am really strong in my body. I'm running, not running away. This posture, and as much as possible, if you know your reaction is flight, that's fun practicing. It's been amazing. Freeze. In the freeze, you do not feel that much your body. Means that in a moment, if you recognize moving your fingers and your toes, whatever, if that is like moment, my boss is saying something, I'm thinking that's what's the like the lower version of it. Like you can do it in front of the other people. Just you move your finger, you move your toes, you bring your body out of the state of I'm moveless, I'm frozen. If you have a little more time, the everything bring the energy up in your body. For example, shaking, really heavy shaking, that will help you. Or tapping, maybe some of you heard about that. So you come back in your body, tapping is some like first aid against the freeze. But whatever is really, every practice bringing the energy up in your body and bringing it back to your body is very good for the freezer. Okay, so I promise you we'll have like just few minutes of stretching if you can, not if you're driving. And if you need to top up your drink or you want to take your drink, feel free. We are going more into practice now. I'm checking this shortly the chat. Mm-hmm. I got it. Oh, that's amazing that you can manage that car situation easily. That's amazing. You're further away from many of us. Like many of us, if it got caught by a rude driver, ooh. And that is a moment you really don't want to get triggered by yourself, because it's not a very great idea to be in the ancient parts of our brain. This is not really a good idea because driving is a highly intellectual activity. I know, amazing. Okay. Okay. So take care, really take the stretch, just get into it. Beautiful. So then I will share with you again. So you heard, oh, it didn't work. One more time. You heard from me that I said, okay, usually we are not in the, when we are getting triggered, we are not connected that much to our rational thinking, right? And our conscious mind. This happens a lot subconsciously, like our body take over. So you might ask like, okay, then is that anything we can do then? Because it feels like we don't have a conscious control over it. This is a model of the psychology. It's not from neurology or anatomy. So these are, they talk about a window of tolerance. Is the area you are your best, you know, like you're calm, you're curious, you're playful, you're open to have contact, just the very calm, great version of yours, and your system, your mechanism is very calm. So I'm sure you have experienced those moments, or maybe hopefully you do it a lot of that experience. And then something happens and we get triggered. And if it's like, oh God, getting a dangerous, or we're getting triggered, we go into fight flight, or we fall down to freeze, right? What we have in our hand as a control over our body are few things. If we recognize it, we are getting there. We have won a huge control. That means if I can really recognize I'm getting there before my system just totally like throw me in that you know, that is a gray zone which I still have a choice. I have possibilities. How do I recognize it? Body. Your body gives the signals to you even before you might know. For example, something happens. I hear like, oh, I don't know. You might not even know what is exactly the trigger. For example, you're hungry. You might not even know. Okay, I'm hungry, or I'm tired. But if you are connected to your body reaction, more sensation, you would know, oh, something is going on here. I'm like getting tense muscle, or you have also some more yourselves. It's not like the standard ones. Once you catch that moment, if you can do it, you want a big freedom, because then you can do like exercises to soften and loosen up and do it something against and send in your brain, it's not a life danger, it's not an animal attack here, it's just a kid shouting or my spouse criticizing. So those moments, and you see I wrote it here, growth zone. It's growth zone. So this is what we want to love, to catch yourself, and if we can go there before we get really crazy, like, we get in all into it. That's amazing. And there's sometimes some people trigger, like martial arts, for example, they do that. They could give you a little of it. So then you practice. You do it actually in a lot of physical activities, in exercising. You do something stressful for your body, but then you send it, you calm it down and say, no, it's all good. You go in a yoga pose, which is stressful for your body. You see like your heart is farting, it's just, it's painful. And then it brings you a little to stress zone, and you do it, deep breath, bringing back. So this is what you have, these zones. Another one is called resilience. Maybe you have heard it. Is how quickly we can bounce back to our window of tolerance. Once we get triggered, how can we coming back? Because as someone wrote, at first for weeks or days, I totally know that. It can be that or whatever. Sometimes you don't even want to be triggered for more than a few minutes once you're driving and you're really mad. You want it actually. These are what you have as possibilities, but you cannot, that's not, I wouldn't say human ability is always high, but like it's very, very tricky. I don't know if many people can or not. I do not get triggered. That is almost impossible, because not even is your body is reacting, is not, this is your system. So we are not talking about not getting triggered, or how can I get rid of it, getting triggered or never get triggered again. We are talking about how we can increase our abilities to recognize and do, before we are getting there, preventive dosing and bouncing back. That means stuff doing that our parasympathetic nervous system, which is for, the danger is away, come back, getting activated as quick as possible. All right. One more thing is the window of tolerance is very different from person to person. It dependent on many factors. May have also traumatic events, genetics, everything. So that's better. The best thing is that you compare yourself to yourself and to know other people. Like, but he can, she can. Why can't I do? So this is individual. And in that space, I would love you to discover your own body ID, body trigger ID. So the idea is you think of a situation, scale of 10, please, like about 4, not 2 like triggering thing. Just choose a situation which triggers you around like 4 points out of 10 from the intensity level. And think of a sentence which would intensify that. For example, in that example of my boss, if, for example, that sentence, oh, I didn't expect it from you. If, you know, that sentence really like even more triggers me. Or if that sentence internal, like in the example of, oh, I don't know what's next year financially will happen, is like, oh, I know you will, that you won't manage it, you won't make it. That sentence, you know, like something even just really intensify it. So I invite you to have a situation for yourself, which you're usually getting triggered, and a sentence. Now, we will send you to breakout session with one other person. You will just don't say anything. You will just stimulate, imagining your situation, being in that situation of stress or trigger. Okay? Your job is only to see what's happening in your body, noticing where is getting what, like tense, open, heart rate, breathe, just noticing. And when you are ready, raise your hand. Oh, sorry, at the beginning of breakout session, you give that one sentence to your partner. So I didn't expect it from you, for example. You give it to your partner. Once you think about your situation silently, just getting into it, noticing what is happening in your body. When you are ready, raise your hand. Your partner will say to you out loud, I didn't expect it from you. That sentence. So to enter that, and then you just again just notice what's happening in your body. Where is it getting tense, getting tickling, just getting numb, it's getting cold, warm. So what is you just urge to do something. Your job is just scanning your body, what's happening in your body. Everything is okay. Whatever it comes up, it's okay. And then we change the turn, and your partner will give you the sentence, and he or she will imagining it and noticing. Is that clear? Okay, maybe I stop so I can see you better. Okay. So anyone needs for me to explain one more time? Just raise your hand if the exercise isn't clear. Just sure you will go to a. Okay, I will one more time.
I just